Hello YouTubers, here we are again. I am going to be, well, you could say restoring, but repairing this mess. Yeah, this is not cool. But where there's a will, there's a way. Restoration guy fixing another project. And there are my inside. Well, I will cut this. Basically right around in here. I will be cutting it in here. Then I will make template from this, from here. Alright, let's do this. Just like that. Pretty much just like that. It would be a really good idea to remove this tag, but I think I don't have to. I think I can do it without removing it. Have to be very careful. Perforated edge. Alrighty, there we go. We simply weld the holder in. There's one thing that we need to do. We need to make sure, and it's hot, we need to make sure that our little hole here has full realm to do all the adjustments that it may need to do. So make sure that you have full play inside this hole. Sorry for the camera wobbling, but that's what we're going to do. We make sure we got full play, tapping this around here, because that's our adjustment. That's what's going to hold it. So, all right, as we continue. All right, as you can see, the hole lines up in there well. Move this out. We have our strong points where it's mounted. You can tell we got good penetration. So we're going to line that right back up there. And I'm going to tell you why I use this little fine line tape here to do this. Now, when we cut this out, we cut on this edge basically, right here on the inside edge. Well, the thickness of the blade eats up more than what you would think it would. That's why we cut to the inside. Now, when we cut this out on this end, we're going to cut to the outside. And what is that going to give us? It should make up for the width that we took out of this blade right here. Now you say, well, how do you get that perfect? You don't need to get it too perfect. You just got to get it close. See? I don't know if I can get that on there, but see? It takes out more than what you think it would. So now we're going to cut on the outside edge, which should give us really, really close to what we need to put back in our hole. The reason why I'm showing you some of these techniques is, I mean, you can get your tape measure out, do all that all day long, and this is just as good. We're welding, we're going to be grinding, and the way I'm going to do this for this particular fella is going to be awesome. It's going to work out great. So it's a couple of easy tricks to, you're not sitting here racking your brain with measuring tape. So here we go. I go again doing things you shouldn't be doing. I don't recommend it. Don't do this. Wear gloves. Gloves actually sitting right here. Anyway. All right, guys, here we are. And as you can see, there's no way to get to the back of it. Well, here is our striker that now fits in there very well. See how perfect that is and how close that is? This is going to make a good weld. We're going to get some really good welds on here, and we'll be using minimum amount of filler, and this should work out very well. Now we're going to put some wings in here for a backing to give this more strength. So that's what's next. Alright guys, here we are again. Give you a little bit of an idea. Here's our little wing that we will be putting right in there. You can see the holes that I've drilled for this. And pop this back in here like so. Just gives us a little bit of backing. We don't need a ton of it, but why do we want this? Because when I go to weld on it, this will make this so much stronger. Actually, not just so much, a lot. Like leaps and bounds stronger. Just by putting a little extra ridge for this to adhere to, we'll do this. And bam! So we'll weld these holes up in here. Or they go in here with a little bit of ridge of steel, and then it has something to rest against. And that's going to make a really good weld when I weld against this. I mean, really solid. So, guaranteed it will. All right. This is basically what we're trying to do. We have a somewhat uniform ridge around the edge of it. Now we'll clean it up. Well, and here we are, guys. Entirely done. Striker's back in there. Oh, the striker's not in there, but as you can see, we're all welded in. Looks really good. Small amount of filler, a little primer, and there we go. Now, you could replace this whole piece, and that would be fine and dandy. But for this application, we're just trying to make the door open and shut and last for a very, very long time and give some real strength to it. Well, a little bit more to show you, and then we're done with this. Alright, guys. Here we are. Primer and a little bit of filler. Not a lot, mind you, in here. Very small amount. And the reason that you don't want a lot in here, so once we screw this in here, like so, I'm not putting that in all the way yet, but there still would be a little bit of vibration or how would I say, stress in here, even though we've repaired this correctly. But you don't want that, because there's still going to be stress in here. Oops, I dropped it. There's still going to be stress in here, but not as much as there was, because we're going to fix this. And we're also going to change the door hinge pins, and that'll be a part of this video as well. So, not a lot of filler. A very small amount. There is not a lot of filler here. And we've primed it, and then I'm going to shoot some color over it to kind of simulate what we have so it doesn't look like a big primer spot. We will be restoring this vehicle at some point in the future, but right now we're just trying to get it to where the door opens and shuts. Alright guys, here we're finished. We're entirely done. I've made a little green paint to put on here so that it doesn't look just like a big primer spot. As you can tell, the indentation is there where it's supposed to be, and this is going to work. And if you wonder why I'm covering this up, that's the vehicle identification. I would like to mention that when you're working on any of these vehicles that have a plate like this plate is very important. You have nothing without this plate. If this plate is not here, this vehicle pretty much doesn't exist. So always handle this plate very carefully. I did remove it, and I did have to put it back on, but we put the proper rivets back, and we're in good shape. So be real careful with this tag. This tag's important. Now we are going to come over here, and we will be doing hinge pins. And we're doing hinge pins because, well, these suck. and they have a lot of play. As you can kind of tell, maybe you can tell, there's a lot of play in the hinge pins, so I have to replace those. And that's not too terribly difficult. And I will definitely do the passenger side on video so you can see how to do it. Over here by this wet paint and everything I got over here, it's a little cumbersome to do so, so we'll be filming the other side, and then once I get these in, I'll show you how good the door is going to open and close and how to adjust it. And alright, we're doing the hinge pins. I thought I'd show you on the passenger door, but wanted to show you on the driver's door. Now this is my fancy dancy door holder that I've purchased, and it's great. I've had it for a while. It's wonderful. But if you don't have one of these, you can still do this with a jack stand, a friend or two. Not that big of a deal. Number one thing I want to show you is in here. There's tape in here. And the reason why I have this tape in here is to give me reference points. So when I go back with my door, I'll have a little closer idea of where to put it. Now, this is a very common thing that I do, and I don't necessarily have to do this, or I don't anymore, but for someone who's doing it for the first time, this is a real easy way to give you good reference to without being really far off when you go to open and shut the door. Because what we're trying to get to are these little pins right here. And they will not, this one may come out, but I promise you, this one will hit against here and we won't get to it. So we need to put the bushings in as well. So let me put this down and get us set up. And I'll pop this pin out. It comes out from the bottom. It's right at the bottom. You'll pop it out here and here and here, but I'll do it when the door's off. I'm actually going to take off these bolts, this bolt here and the bolts down here, and I'll move it away that I can get to everything really easy and have a really good job. All right. You see, this is way too loose. With it being this loose, it will never really hold the door right. So when we put the new pins in, we will entirely eliminate that problem. You never get the door adjusted right with that kind of play. This one's not as bad. It still is a little bit, but this one's horrible. I'm fixing to show you just how loose it is. We just pulled that out by hand here. And off. There you go. Okay. If you can see here, this is pretty bad. We have pieces of what would be the shim that would hold it. So yeah, we've got to replace that. So that's not good. So we need to replace that. Put new shims in. Now this one isn't much better, from what I can tell. Fixing to just pull it out with my fingers. And you really should not be able to do that. So what do we got here? That one doesn't look too bad. Looks like someone may have attempted to put that one in, but we're going to change it anyway. Believe it or not, your local hardware store will actually have exactly what your, not hardware store, your local auto parts store should have these. Because that's where I got mine. I thought I was going to have to go to some other place, you know, online or something, but no, I was able to get them right here in my town. So that's great. And here they are. And this is what we're going to be putting in right there. Now, they come with a brass one, And they also come with these steel ones, depending on how bad it's wore out. Now, please bear with me. I'm not a professional at filming. These videos that I've been doing lately are some of the first ones I've ever done. Hopefully, the editor will get rid of some of the long, drug-out parts so that we keep the content interesting. Now, this is if they're really wore out. These grip in here so you can drill them out and you can press them in. But I don't think we'd be needing that. I think our brass may work. As long as our brass isn't too loose. Because when we push them in here, it's going to make them tighter. Which is going to make this a lot tighter than this, hopefully. So I don't think we're too wore out on this one yet. Let's see. If we don't like it, we can drill them out and put better ones. And getting it in there is a pain too. There's another. You like that? Ooh, that feels pretty snug. That's good and snug. We're probably going to like that. I noticed that one came out on the top. The one that's up, the one that's up here, I have noticed that they put it from the other direction. It's really not going to work when you're pushing it in like this and you're going to push it out on the bottom. That's because they actually probably didn't take the door off to try to do this. This is I feel, the more proper way to do this. So when you put it in here, it'll be tight. When we go in here, it'll be tight, and we're going down with it, so it'll fit good. If we try to go upward, we try to go like this, and this is upward, it's just going to push it right back out. It doesn't make any sense at all. At least I don't think it does. Yeah, that should be... Well, we could put it in backwards, and it would hold it like this. So if you choose to do it that way, that's okay, but logically it would make sense there to there. But we'll get this nice little spacer in here. So being that we have a bottom, let's go ahead and put it on from the bottom. And that should be snug as well. That's pretty snug. We want it snug. We want it snug. The snug is important. Without the snug, no good. That should be good and tight and last a very long time. Okay, let's go to the top one. This is actually good that it's a little difficult to get them in there. I'd actually be worried if it was too easy, because then it wouldn't be very tight. Now, you don't have to use the tools or the way I do it. This stuff's similar. See what we got here. I like that. That's snug. That's going to be good and snug. It's going to be great. All right, we've got our bushings in. And we didn't have to use these. These are, like I said, is if it's really bad. They are so wore, then they'll bite in. We drill them out bigger and it'll bite in. And it'll still work for you, but we're in luck. We don't have that problem. We can use our brass. Just people didn't feel like changing them in the past, and we just caught it before it got too bad. So we're going to be putting this back on. Be important to note the way it goes back on. You don't want to put it on backwards. And trust me, it can happen. If you're in a hurry or in a rush and not paying attention, that can happen. And one of the biggest things to note, this little thing, it'll go down here. Right there against, there's a little, let me show you. Your stopper is right there. That little thing right there. So, as far as that one goes, that you'll know that's the way that goes. And if you don't remember on this one, you can easily look at your door and look at the holes. There, 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 and there. And tell you where this would go. And, of course, 2 holes on the bottom. You need something to stop it, which would be there. And there you go. So, let me put you back up on the tripod. And you can see me put the pins in. Ooh, fun, right? Pins go right in there. Tap them in. Now it's going to bite in there. You want this to bite. There. That's pretty darn good. I'm really happy with that. So you want that to bite so that it rolls on the pin. See, there is a little teeth on there. You want that to bite into the top of there, just like so. And that is way better than what we had by leaps and bounds. Up and down, not a big deal. Back and forth, man, that makes all the difference in the world. And since we have it out here and it's already gooey as can be, let's shoot some grease on it. Some people use white grease. I like the red grease myself. You can always wipe off the excess. All right, let me get the door back on and then we'll go from there. Now I know this makes this incredibly easy, having this. It really, really does. But to have some friends or a couple of jacks, you can also do it. I have done it that way before I've gotten one of these. Now I know you're just staring at the door, so I can't think I can get you right in here right now, but in a minute I'll show you how the tape really helps out. Alright, now we'll be taking off the door holder. So convenient, right? So convenient. Super convenient. Alright guys, now see the tape? That's where it was. And we're real close. But I could tell immediately, almost immediately, before I even put the striker back in here, that this is hanging way too low. And how do we fix that? We have to bring the door up. But we have to consider this line. See how gappy that line is? We can go up quite a bit. So now that we got new hinge pins in, and we've got some good work there, so now we've got to move the door up. And how do we do that? By adjusting these very bolts. So let me do that, and we'll get that part done. Alright, let's see how it came out. We are in great shape. Our striker is in. We have some never sees on there. A little bit of color so it doesn't look horrible. So let's see how it opens and shuts. Shuts pretty good to me. Not a lot of effort. Shuts well. That's what we were going for, guys. Now, I'd like to point out some things. See that molding, how it's not even? Down here it's not even, but the gaps are pretty straight. We have this big honking gap here. We're kind of tight here. We're a little more open here, tight down there. Now, of course, everyone would like their moldings to line up and do what they're supposed to and be like they're supposed to be. But there's some other issues with this vehicle. So when you're doing something like this, you need to take a few things into consideration. Now, this is a 75 Blazer, or GMC Jimmy, rather. There it is. Boom. Anyway, they didn't have a lot of structure up here. There was no wraparound structure in here. This is where true convertibles. So you're thinking, well, if this was all pretty and nice, how do you get that straight? Well, you can. You would have to move this fender forward so you get more space here. Maybe bring it up a slice so you can rotate the hinge this way and bring that in at the bottom. There's several different things you could do, but we have some issues to think about. Okay, there's a lot of rust repair that needs to be done in this vehicle, such as right here. Yeah, I mean, I can so I can show you this here. There's my finger, there's my hand, and if I want to, I could probably come out the bottom of it. So that means there's a point in here, and I know there's rust over there. So that means that there's a bit of movement in here that needs to be fixed, and that could contribute to some of the reasons for this door alignment. Why I couldn't really get it where I want to. So with that being said, you have to tell yourself, okay, this is where I'm at. This is going to be good enough for this application, or can I do better? Well, I currently believe that this is the best that we can do with this application without fully restoring it and going in and do the rest of the things that it needs. And we will be doing this way into the future. But here you go. Striker replacement. on a 75 Jimmy GMC. And, well, to tell you the truth, you could probably do the same method on just about any truck. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you with whatever application you need. Even if it just gave you the thought that, hey, I can do that, then great. But this is how I do it. This is the way I do things. I hope it helps. Thanks for watching, guys, and until the next thing.